Hey guys, welcome in. I'm adjusting things. So, hi, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry I'm late to the stream today. I was actually trying to decide if I should stream or not at all, because I've streamed like every day this week. Which is fine, I guess. Who cares? We're not playing games today, so you're welcome to stick around this time. I realize that I'm not a gaming streamer, that's for sure. I am boring to watch playing games. I even went back and watched some of my VOD and I was like, this is like, I don't get off on any like tangents or rants or anything. And it might just be because I like had other people in the chat, you know, and that does kind of throw me off. So maybe if I was playing like a game single player, it'd be different. I don't know. Anyway, what's up, Kid Wonder? Hi. I see you on YouTube. I am paying attention to YouTube today. I'll try to anyway. Apparently I stirred up some controversy with the raid a couple days ago that I did. So that's interesting. I'm waiting to hear more information on what exactly people don't like about the person I raided. I'm not going to mention names because I don't know yet what the issue is. So we're waiting to hear back on that. Anyway, so today I wanted to take a little bit of time. I'm only gonna stream for a couple hours today because I have really important things to do around 3 o'clock today, which is in about an hour. Like they're just so important. Like probably the most important thing I've done in like months. Matt knows what I'm talking about because he's gonna be there too. Really important. We have lots of important like business related things going on. So yeah, it's just super incredibly important. So we'll be doing that later today. Anyway, but I wanted to dive into Dwarvenhold today and figure out, I just kind of want to get a plan together and figure out what the hell I'm doing with this project, because I know there's talks of a survival game. Yes, the business. Yes, it's very important business. And I won't be streaming business today because that was just kind of like extra stressful for no reason. I'd rather just play and have fun and not have to worry about people. No idea what this streamer raid drama is. Yeah, no, I know. I'll tell you about it later when we're doing our business stuff. I'll tell you about it. I have a feeling it's not quite what it was led out or like meant. Like the people I was mentioning, 2 people messaged me on Twitch about it, and I have a feeling that they're in cahoots together, and I have a feeling that this is very much a political leaning agenda thing, which I'm not going to get in the middle of because my stream is very much straight down the middle. We don't talk about either sides of the political stuff because this is not a place for that. So I will not get involved in it if that's the case. But if it's something more than that, because it sounds like there might be something more than that, then we might just avoid raiding the person we raided. But we'll see what happens. I'm not taking a stance on anything yet. Anyway, moving on. Not going to talk about that right now. There has been some talks about a survival game that we've been talking about doing for, it's like a Swords of Magic spinoff that I think would do a lot better and have a much bigger audience and just be a lot more fun to make and play than this game. This was meant to be like a 2 to 3 month like project that we would just kind of knock out and throw out there and try to make like a few grand on just to pay my bills. The problem with it is it's kind of like, it's boring. It's really boring, and I'm afraid I'm at the point now where after playing a little while and like trying to like get it working, I'm afraid that we're kind of at a point where to make it fun would take another couple months of development of just like core foundational development, and I don't like that idea. Therefore, I'm afraid that it's not going to be worth while pursuing the project. And I think that there is some merit in understanding when something is like not going to work out and you just throw in the towel. I have had people say that they think it might be worth like $5 as is, which I think that's not true. But it might be. It kind of depends. It'll need a lot of love to like get cleaned up to the point where I would be comfortable releasing it. First of all, like it needs a title screen, it needs a game over screen, it needs like more progression based things, it needs like the mini map thing I don't think works at all. It would need better like health bars and like better UI and just better like kind of just better everything in general. I'm not really like, I guess like the art works, I guess, for now. I don't know. With the attitude I was kind of going into the other game with, I'm kind of the opinion that like to like knock out a quick game to make some money, I don't know if we necessarily need to make like the most high quality, high polished like or highly polished like game experience just to sell it and make some money for a few dollars, you know? So I am kind of leaning toward like maybe it's okay if it's a little jank, you know? Like this game already has less jank than a lot of like finished games I've played on Switch or on Steam, not Switch. Not planning on releasing this game on Switch. So maybe it's not a big deal, you know? Maybe I'm overthinking a lot of it and it's actually fine. The battle map is not working. I thought it was. I thought we got that working. I thought we at least got it like somewhat working. I guess not. Anyway, so yeah, some glaring issues with this game is like it's really hard to tell what the heck is going on. Hi.
Ooh.
Hey. You really
so
wanted
aggressive.
it. You like pulled the curtain back, huh? Hi. You're gonna run? Where are you running to?
We're running to the bank.
Okay. Very brave to be on stream while he's holding onto your shirt like that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, sorry.
I mean, not that I think we'd get canceled if you've seen the hot tub and beach category recently. I don't think you could do much worse than that. Well, great. Have fun at the bank. I'm reporting this stream. You would, Matt. No BTTV. Yeah, I might have to enable that. If is that how do I have to enable that? I thought that was like on a per person basis. Like I thought each user had to enable that to get that to work. Oof, we survived. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I think if we had more information, I think that was like, that's kind of like what the biggest problem was before, was like we didn't have enough information to do the things we wanted to do. Be able to like see how the game was playing and like, yeah. So if we could fix the information problem, I'm sure that would help. I also think there's a bit of a problem with like having to run back and forth. You know what might actually fix the problem is ditching this guy. If we just ditched this guy, so you didn't have to worry about him, and you just had like an overview and you could just use WASD to move the camera around like as quick as you wanted to, basically. And maybe you could even like click on a unit and it would just like, so like focus, like center on the unit. And we could have like a button or something that says like base or something, I don't know, or like something over here, and you click that and it goes back, like the camera just snaps back to your base. And then you could just click on these to upgrade them. Maybe like that would be enough to like, oh look, we just broke the battle map, just like randomly broke. Don't know what's wrong with that. I don't know, I may have done it wrong too. It does work on other streams though. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have anything like that. Oh, sorry, Super Pedo, I missed your message over here. How is it all running around? What do you mean, Patrick? How is what all running around? Oh, and look how pretty this baby is. Yeah, he's pretty cute. Where's the link to the Twitch TV stream? There might not be a link on the YouTube stream because I should just add one, but I don't think there is one on there. But if you go to my actual like YouTube channel, there should be a link in like the About Me section or whatever what it is. There should be a bunch of links in there. If not, it's just twitch.tv/kindredgames. Put on the team discussion, please. The stream discussion. There you go. Hopefully that's the right link. Sure is. I think revising the dude would be a good idea too. Yeah, I don't know. I think the reason I'm like starting to fall away from this idea is primarily because it's very much experimental. And I've learned from all of my game jams, like I've done a bunch of game jams, and every single one I pretty much like, because it's a game jam and I know it's like a short amount of time, usually like 7 days or whatever, is just like the ones I like to participate in. I always do experimental stuff where I'm always just like, this will be fun. I want to try this. I've never made a game like this. Let's try this game. And so I will do that. Are we like attacking their base right now? I think we are. So anyway, so I'll do experimental things, and when I do that, they always do like really poorly, and they end up not being fun at all, because I'm not like, and maybe I just need to make more games, I don't know, but I am like there's a certain type of game dev who can do like, oh, I'm gonna make a puzzle game where you like control, you know, I don't know, like there's just like, they have like this weird, they're able to just like make this amazing, crazy, experimental like game that like is really fun and like super unique and interesting. And I've never been able to do that. Like I've tried several times to make like, oh, I'm gonna make this really deep, interesting, unique like indie game that just like totally throws like conventional like game dev stuff like out the window and feels like a totally different vibe. And I just, one, I don't like games like that usually. Like it's pretty rare that I'll play a game and I'll be like, wow, this is super like unique and like really like this is my cup of tea. Like I would rather play a game that's like a little more streamlined, that has like unique ideas, you know. Like I think Swords and Magic is a really good example of like what types of games I'm actually good at making. Like I like following, for the most part, a recipe, right? I like recipes because they've been tried and tested, right? Or tried and, what is it called? What am I looking for? There's a term there. They've been battle tested. They've been proven, whatever, tested and proven to work. And second, because like people understand what they are already, so it's like it's not hard to market a game like that. Like it's really hard to market, like for example, let's just like look at Braid, right? Braid is a pretty good example of like, I mean, it's a platformer, but it's pretty experimental like puzzle platformer, right? And I think the reason that Braid works really well is because it was like ahead of its time and like the first of its kind to be like a crazy like unique indie game, and that's great. And I'm not criticizing Braid at all. But I don't think that I could make a game in like that same vein today with 14,000 games coming out on Steam, like lots of indie games coming out all the time. We're back on this, love it. Hold on. I don't think I could make a game like in the same like caliber as like Braid and expect to like blow up on Steam right now, because there's just too many games out there that like you don't like stand out. And I'm not saying that making a game that's like cookie cutter or whatever, sort of like Swords of Magic, is the way to stand out either. I just think that there's like more of an audience for that. So without too much ranting anymore, I'll stop the ranting. I think what I'm trying to say is I am just afraid that releasing a game like this that's a little bit experimental and kind of out there is gonna like miss all of the audiences that it might be interested in it. I'm not going to target a huge chunk of my current audience because it's nothing like Swords and Magic, right? Other than like it's fantasy. I don't think I'm going to hit a huge amount of like people from. We need like lots more stuff if we like actually I don't think we do. I think we could literally just like win this game right now. I think we might actually win this game right now. Anyway, I don't think we're gonna like target a huge amount of like the strategy game audience either, just because like one, I'm not going to do a ton of marketing on this because I can't afford to, right? I can't afford to like run ads and like, you know, do a ton of stuff. So it's going to be all like free marketing, basically. Like probably make a YouTube video to like announce it, and maybe like a devlog video that like, and like does the whole like talk about the whole process basically, maybe. And then I'll probably have like, I don't know, I'll probably send keys out or whatever, but that's like the majority of the marketing I'll do. I don't think I'll do anything like super crazy with it because I don't really have the time to do that or the money. So, I don't know. I'm just a little worried that like the game in the state it's in right now is bad and it's not fun and it's like very slow paced. Like it's very kind of chill, but like too chill, you know, like it feels weird. Like I know how the game works and I know if I went mining right now, that would be the most beneficial thing because I'm out of like ore. But like, I'm just afraid that like it's gonna be boring, you know? I think it's already very boring. So I think if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna like actually like knock this one out, finish it, then I need to focus on like changing it probably. And that's what I'm worried about. I guess it's just because it's still experimental and I'm still worried that it's going to end up being, even if we spend another month on it, like how much can we really change it to make it actually like fun and good and playable, versus like if we spend that month on a new project that I feel a lot more confidence in, especially something like a survival game in the vein of Swords and Magic. By the way, we're back to ads again, just so you know, because apparently you guys get ads whether I turn them on or off on Twitch anyway. So if I turn them on, I get a lot bigger chunk of it, and I can control when you see them and how often you see them. And if I don't do that, then I don't have any control over it, and you just see ads and I have no idea if you're seeing them or not. So at least I know now in 30 seconds you guys are going to get an ad break, and it's only going to be a minute long because I can control how long it is. So you're not at Twitch's whim, you're kind of a little more at mine. But either way, in the end, like, we're just going to suffer from like whatever Twitch wants to do because they have full control over this platform, not the people who use it every single day. I don't know, I'm kind of sick of Twitch too. Subscribe so you don't see ad breaks. That's true. If you don't want to see the ads, you can subscribe, and I would not complain about it. Anyway, tried and true. That's the one. Thank you. One thing that I've loved is stuff moved. I've loved what Tiny Tina's Wonderland made, mixing tabletop adventure with first-person looter shooter. Yeah, I played it and I liked it, I guess. I just don't like first-person shooters, so even though it was like in the fantasy vein, it was way more up my alley. But it's like, it's a Borderlands spin-off, right? So honestly, I think I'd rather just play Borderlands. But it was good. It was okay, I guess. That guy just got wrecked. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I just think if we went toward the survival thing, first of all, we have a bunch of assets to use already because we're going to use Swords and Magic. We're going to theme it in Swords and Magic because people like the art style. They think it's charming. It's great, I think. Two, like, it's tried and true, right? We know that survival games work really well, and Shrouded is blowing up. Power World blew up. Like, Valheim blew up. Like, everyone loves survival games. I love survival games. Like, I've played way more survival crafting base building games in the last few years than I played RPGs. Like, that might be because RPGs are kind of dying out and people aren't like really launching RPGs, at least not like open world, like, you know, fantasy RPGs like I want to play. There's a lot of like JRPGs and stuff out there. That's not really my cup of tea anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of, I don't know. I've also had Prejudice until I played. It was awesome. Yeah, no, I played Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I guess it's just like mixing the first person shooter thing with it. Like, it fits really well because it's a Borderlands spinoff, and like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, it's not my cup of tea. That's all. I did play it though. I barely play survival games anymore, but I have been wanting to pick up Enshrouded. It's survival. Yes, it is. The question is, how is yours different? Well, that's the thing, is I don't have a really good like reason why Swords and Magic, or the Swords and Magic survival game, would be different. I have like a story idea. I have like an end goal idea. I have I have some like obstacles. What am I trying to say? What's the word I'm looking for? I'm so bad at words lately. I need like to read the dictionary more often, I think. I don't know what I need to do. What's up, Hiker? Welcome in. Anybody can make another survival. How will yours be better? Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not trying to make a game that's better. I just want to make a game that's different and that's fun. I don't think anyone should go into I think you should go into games thinking like, wow, I feel like this aspect could be better, and it'd be better if like someone did this, or this aspect would be different and would be more fun because of this. That's good. But anyone going into like game dev thinking like, I'm gonna make this game but better, I don't like that very much. Like, I'm not interested in that, as I don't think. I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard to look like the problem with that mindset. I've like tried to condition myself to get out of that mindset of like, I'm gonna do this better, is because you're always gonna be disappointed, because even if you did do it better, you're not gonna reach the audience that those big games do. And like, if you keep comparing yourself to those bigger games, you're just gonna like, you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna be really, really disappointed, and you're gonna get really like depressed about your game and the ability, like the abilities you were like. I can't make games as good as Enshrouded, right? Like, I can't make a game like that. Not by myself, not without a huge budget, right? I just can't. So my goal is never to like make a better game. Like, it's not like, well, how can I make Enshrouded but better? Because I can't even make Enshrouded at that level, period. And two, like, I can't make it better for sure, right? Not without a huge budget and a ton of people on the team. So instead of looking at it as like, I want to make it better, I'm just looking at it as like, I want to make a different one, right? And I think there's a lot of merit in that. Even if it's not as good, right, doesn't mean that people won't play it. For example, I'm pretty sure that Temtem, a lot of people would say it's nowhere near as good as Pokemon, right? Like, it's not as good. Yet it was something different and people liked it, you know? And there's a lot of games like that, you know? Just because like Command and Conquer was like Command and Conquer isn't necessarily better than Warcraft. It's just different, and people liked it because it's different. So I think you can just take an idea and put a different spin, a different skin on it, whatever. And as long as it's good, it'll like, people still like it. It doesn't have to be better. So no, I'm not well, okay. First of all, I don't know of any like low poly survival base building games that look anything close to Swords and Magic. I'm sure there's some out there, but I've never heard of them. So I'm not worried about that. Second, also I plan on adding a lot of automation systems into it because I really like that idea. And so it's going to be a lot of like, you're building constructs that will do your work for you, that will do a lot of work for you, like mining, farming, harvesting, building, things like that. Maybe not building, but they'll do things like that. And then that'll be like the core feature of the game, where you're like automating your survival stuff. So end game stuff's going to take a ton of resources because you're going to be automating a ton of it. So I think there's just going to be a huge scaling thing where you have to like go into the automation stuff. So for example, The Survivalists is like a survival game with a little bit of base building. And the reason that game like kind of stood out and was different was because they have a bunch of monkeys on the island where you're surviving, and you train them to do things for you, right? So it stood out because of that different aspect. So I think that the constructs thing, even though it's kind of actually similar to the monkey thing, totally different art style, totally different plane style, everything will be different about that. But still, I still think it'll stand out. I'm not making a cookie cutter survival game. If I was making a cookie cutter survival game, I would go grab a bunch of assets in the marketplace and just make another, like, yeah, like I think that would be really easy to do if you wanted to do that. But one, there's not a lot of fantasy survival games out there, and Shrouded is probably one of the only ones, which is probably why I'm so into it right now, or why I was so interested in it when it first launched or first was announced, because there's not a lot of fantasy ones. Valheim was like one of the closest ones. I guess Conan Exiles too, but Conan Exiles has a very, very specific theme that's, you know, Conan, and not very much like high fantasy, Western fantasy stuff, you know. And then same with Valheim, Vikings, right? It's Vikings. It's like, it's not super like fantasy. So like, I just think there's definitely space for a more fantasy situated one. And right with this one, Ryu, you also say anyone can make a survival game, but I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that's the case. So yeah, I think the art style will be different. I think the story will be different. I think the theme will be different. I think the mechanics will be different. I think the automation stuff will be very different. The world will be different. Everything will be different than other survival games. And another thing is like, I'm also like targeting most of my marketing toward our current player base, because that's where I have like direct, like I have a direct platform to, right? Like I have a pedestal to stand behind and say, hey, you guys check this game out I'm making, or I've made or whatever. And I think like that's important because that's the only audience I really have access to right now. That I think it's important that they are like the primary audience. And then hopefully this game will appeal to a broader audience than just those people. If you don't have a unique idea and you're not doing something better, then what is the reason to buy? Well, yeah, I'm definitely have a unique idea. Actually, I totally think that's a valid twist. Hold on. I tend to avoid survival games because I don't like the gritty, realistic art styles. Yeah, for sure. Survival game, but it's low poly stylized. Honestly, I would buy it. That's a god game like Black and White. What is a god game like Black and White? Art style alone would take my money over Enshrouded. Yo, what's up, Moz? Yeah, so basically, Moz, what's going on is I've been working on this Dwarvenhold like game, which is a like RTS lane builder. I think you were in here when I was working on it last time, where you can like build buildings, and then you can like upgrade them and like they do things, and then you can like spawn like units to go do stuff down the lanes, whatever, and they just follow these lanes. Anyway, I think it's a cool idea, but it's very experimental, and it's very slow paced, and there's like not enough like information to know what you're doing and like how to best like optimize. And while I could probably get rid of this dude you control and like have a more of like a broader view of like what's going on in the game, and that would probably help a lot, I'm also kind of like, it's very risky. I think like spending another month or two on this project to finish it up, I think is going to be really risky. And even then, I don't know if I can get it to the point where I think it's like really worth like selling, even for like $5 or $10. I don't think there's enough there. I don't think there's enough substance here to like make this a game that's like sellable. This is very much like a game jam game at this point. Like it's just not thought through enough to really make it fun. So instead of like guessing and like winging it, I'm kind of like ready to I think I'm just going to scrap the project. Like I'm just going to throw in the towel and say it was a good try. We experimented, we tried, and maybe one day if I get the urge, I'll come back and play with it more. I don't know. And I want to go on to something that I think is a little more like not guaranteed, but a little more safe. And so the idea is I want to reuse the Swords Magic assets, like art assets, and build a new foundation, probably, because a lot of the older code is like hard to build on top of and modify. So I'm probably not going to try to like reuse the project entirely. But maybe some things, like we might move over like UI and stuff. We'll see. So yeah, but the idea is like a survival based building game with automation in the Swords of Magic universe, with Swords Magic like existing environment art and probably character art. So that's the idea. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it. We're just talking about it. So today was kind of like, I want to dig through this project and kind of play it again and see like if I felt like there was something worth salvaging. And only streaming for like half an hour more, so like it was only like an hour long stream, so I just figured I'd do it live and chat and see if I can get some feedback on what you guys think. Yeah, Pato, I also hate. I don't really like YouTube either. I pay $20 a month just to stream on YouTube. So we like seldom get too many viewers on YouTube, but I don't know if it's worth $20 a month. I'm still trying to decide. We might go back to just Twitch. The nice thing about YouTube is that you guys get to like people who are like watching on YouTube and like waiting for devlogs get to see like that I'm posting streams on there, right? Like that I'm going live. So people are like, oh, so the game's not dead. And that's like all that really matters. Is it worth $20 a month to say the game's not dead? I don't know. I think I'd rather, I don't know. I feel like I could probably just like work harder to get a devlog out every month to people, so people know that, but who knows. Have you seen Jonas Roller's new game Dwarvenhold? Yeah, 100%. Similar idea where they build up a map and control a player as well. Yeah. So actually when I started this project, I had heard of it, but I hadn't played it yet. And then right after I like got the base idea for this and kind of prototyped their very basic mechanics out, I went and bought Thronefall and played it. And I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty similar. The difference is that like this is a little more like immersive, or like a little more, yeah, I guess immersive, because you're like closer to the action. You're seeing like the characters actually do their like attacks and everything. Not that you're not in Thronefall, but like it's a little more like pulled back and like more like overscoped, and also a lot smaller. Like you can fit almost the entire, I think you actually almost can fit, yeah, almost, you can almost fit the entire game, like the whole like map on the screen in Thronefall, and you can't do that here at all, like not even close, right? Like I have to run clear over here to get to the other, like the enemy's territory. And this is where I'm like, like this is probably where things are like falling apart. Like we should probably have the camera pulled further back and everything just be like more like macro, you know? Like I think if we like saw more like this, you know, this might be better. And then you could like, I don't know. I'm tempted to just like kind of scrap the guy and just like move the camera around, and you could just like pick the things here to like build stuff or whatever. Maybe we just make the whole map smaller again. It was like this whole thing here, this whole base was like here before. And you could like see almost the whole map when you're running around. So it was, and then like the lanes were like up to here and down here. Like it was like a quarter the size. And maybe that would fix it, I don't know. Game development requires a lot of trial and error. Yeah, 100%. I'm speaking in hyperbole. I always want to read hyperbole, but I know the word is hyperbole. It's just really hard to say it when you're reading it. But go look at the 50 survival zombie games that exist. They all use asset packs to make them, the same ones you were looking at yesterday, and they have decent sales. So I get your point, just saying it's easier than one might think. I think the point, or the fact that there's 50 zombie survival games out of 14,000 games that launched last year, and probably, you know, I don't know, 1 million people making games that didn't launch their games last year. I think it goes to show that 50 games getting launched over the course of whoever knows how long shows that it's actually way more challenging than you might think to make a game, any game at all. So like, I think the fact that like, if you go ask like 20 game devs, hey, how many games do you have out on Steam? I'm guessing that 1 or 2 of them might say 1 or 2, right? It's really difficult to launch any game at all unless you just like threw together like a platformer with like an art kit or whatever, you know, through it like with a bunch of tutorials just to get a game out there. So I think, I don't know. I'm not saying that making a survival game is going to be hard, and that's like the reason why I kind of want to do it, because I think that with all of our art assets and like everything I know now, like with my knowledge and like my experience making Swords of Magic and everything, I think we could make a good survival game. And I do think we could make a good survival game. I don't think, because I played a lot of survival games, doesn't give me the, you know, qualifications to make one. But I do think that based on what I've played and like the experience I have playing games or playing survival games, I do kind of understand what a fun survival game needs, you know, like what I at least enjoy from survival games. So I don't know. I do think we could make a good one. And I just think that there's not that many survival, like open world survival sandbox, you know, base building, like automation games out there. So I don't think I would be like totally like, you know, flooded. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd be totally like washed, like, what am I trying to say? Like buried, I guess, by other games like releasing. Unless, you know, who knows? Maybe there's like, you know, 50 more games coming out this year. You never know when it's just gonna like boom and like flood the whole market, and then like your game just gets forgotten about. Very possible. You'll miss it. What do you mean, Maz? What do you like? You said I like it. I don't know if you mean the survival game or this game. There's a free plugin that lets you stream to both. There is a free plugin, but wait, it's not well, first of all, it's not a plugin, it is OBS. And I don't use OBS because it's a lot easier to use Streamlabs for me, and all of my stuff's already set up on Streamlabs, and I've been using it for years. So yeah, people say things like this all the time to me, like, oh, you know, Blender is free. Like, you don't have to pay, you know, $300 a year for Maya. You could use Blender for free. But they don't realize that free doesn't mean what you think it means. And same with like switching to OBS, same with using a free plugin for streaming to both places. Like, there's a lot of options for free, but free doesn't mean that there's no cost. Free just means there's no monetary cost, right? So just because I switched to Blender doesn't mean I don't have to spend 6 months relearning my entire workflow and how everything works, right? Or if I switch to OBS, I don't have to spend 3 months rebuilding all of my stream setup and like setting everything back up and like learning how it all works. And like I've used OBS in the past. I know it's very similar, but it's still a headache to switch everything over and like set it all up correctly and like get everything working, and then like figuring out plugins and like hooking back everything back up to like my voiceover, like, or my voice changer and stuff. Like there's a lot more work that goes into it than just like clicking a button being like, now it's done, it works, it's free. Anyway, Lesson Shrouded already copied the best multiplayer ideas from Swords of Magic anyway. Yeah, well, not quite the best, right? They didn't do the shared loot thing, but everything else they got, right? Honestly, like, it is kind of funny, and it is kind of refreshing seeing a lot of the features that we have never seen before in games, other than like a handful of places here and there, that we used in Swords of Magic. Like, they're being used more mainstream now. I don't think that they played Swords of Magic and they're like, this is what we need to do. I'm not that, you know, like, I'm not that full of myself. But it is nice to see people who are like, you know what sucks about games is this. We should fix this. Little King Story was the name. Wait, hold on. There's a game that was basically fantasy Pikmin you could check out. Little King Story. I think that sounds familiar. I might have played that. Your game could get discovered like 5 years later and become super famous. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that happens with Swords of Magic. Swords of Magic has been dead. Sorry about the dogs. I'm sure you can hear them barking. Jan is home, so of course the dogs think that we're being invaded by Russia. Or wherever. No, it doesn't have to be Russia. Sorry. They just picked a random country. Anyway, you may qualify for Maya Indie. I do. That's $300 a year. Maya Indie requires that you cannot make $100,000 a year. We definitely don't make that. So we're good. There was 1 year I had to pay for full Maya. That's it. Every other time I paid for Indie. But yeah, even Maya Indie is $300 a year. It's still pretty expensive. When I first started using Maya Indie, it was $240 a year. And in the last like 3 or 4 years, 5 years that I've been using it, it's gone up to almost $60 a year. So I read up Little King Story because you were debating whether or not to have a player character or just have the camera loom over the field. Right. Survival game, Moss says. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot could be done in a survival game, and I feel like I'm a lot more confident about how to make a survival game fun because it's a lot more like I've never seen a lane-based strategy game, right? And so it's very sketchy to me to think that like it's very possible that like this doesn't work out, you know? And it's really scary to think that I could just like spend another 3 months working on this, launch it, and make like $200, you know? Like barely enough money to cover the Steam fee again, or yeah. Which I know you guys paid for, which is why I feel like we need to launch it. But at the same time, I don't know, because like I will just put that money toward the next one, obviously. I don't know. I also, this is like very much an MO of mine where I just jump between projects. I've done this my whole life. This is why Swords of Magic is the first game I ever finished, and it took me 15 years to finally like make a game. When I say, sorry, I say finished, but I mean like released, like actually playable. It's definitely not finished. But like for 15 years, I made games and I never got one to the point where I thought like, okay, this is ready to be released, you know, or this is like playable and like I can actually launch this game and sell it. Because I would just like start a project, get to the point where it was like, well, now this is like kind of getting too real and like this could fail, and then I abandon it. So I'm also pretty confident that like, as long as your game gets like play tested and you work on feedback and you accept feedback and you like change things and you're not the only person who thinks the game is fun in your circle, then I do think that pretty much any game can be successful with the right marketing and like as long as it's a good fun game, really regardless of like the theme or like the genre. So I do think that we could finish this and launch it. And my goal with this game was like $10,000, and I really do think that it could make $10,000. But I just don't know how much work it's going to be to get to the point where all the feedback, like, you know, gets taken into account and like is actually fun. Oh, you recommended Maya LT. Yes, I also used Maya LT for a while. The problem with Maya LT is that once you get kind of sucked into Maya LT, if you've ever used Maya before that or decide to use Maya after that, none of your files work. So you can export all your OBJs and FBXs. And to be honest with you, I borrowed Maya LT so I could export all the files I had saved into it as OBJs and FBXs, because once you can't use a Maya LT file in Maya, and if you stop paying for Maya LT to get all your files out of it, you have to pay another month for it or whatever. And so I ended up borrowing it from a friend, who I will not talk about, just so I could export all my files out of it, which was only like 3 or 4 things, but still. I wasn't about to pay like $30 to do that, because it just seems stupid to me that they didn't why can't you just use the same files? I don't know. Wait, now they've discontinued, you can use them? This is I'm starting to get over Maya. Like, I'm getting over like Autodesk, because I'm starting to see this as just becoming like, it's all just a money grab. There's no reason to be like increasing the price for indies every year when, like, I don't know, it should really, I don't even know like the best way to handle it. Like, I understand they want to make money, but I just feel like they're probably making millions a year on like their big licenses, you know, from like big studios who need to buy like 100 seats at $1,500 a pop or whatever. Like, I just feel like it's honestly kind of just bullshit that they're charging indies who are probably not going to make much money at all. Like, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. It's too much money. It's all a ripoff. Agreed. I'm sure people who donated did so mainly just to support you, not only for this project. I know, but I still feel bad about it. Your conscience is coming back. Yeah. Damn conscience. Anyway. Well, I don't know. I wonder if there's a way we could like twist this game into something a little more fun and a little less slow paced. Like, RTS games are usually pretty slow paced, at least early on. But like, the thing about this game is like, it doesn't, I don't know. I guess the cool thing about an RTS game is you can like spawn a bunch of units, tell them to go over here and do this thing, tell these units to go over here and do this thing. Like, you're like building up a little army, you know, you're like growing your base. Like, it feels good and you feel like the progress. But in here, like, you don't really feel that same progress. Like, it doesn't feel the same as like having an RTS, because you're just like building a building, and then like you can spawn one guy on a lane, and it's just kind of like, it's just not all that exciting, you know? Like, there's like, I think the reason like Cartoon Wars works, which is like kind of the inspiration for this. We're pulling up an image of it again. We're trying to. Okay. So the reason I think Cartoon Wars works, we can't look at these bigger. Okay. Nice. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna zoom in. It's fine. So this is your base in Cartoon Wars. You have this mana booster. You have these little guys, right? And you unlock these guys by playing the game. You usually just start with like this guy or maybe these 2 guys. I don't remember now. And then your base, like, so you send your guys over. Oh, good. And then these are the enemies. Like, they're coming this way. You have like this arrow turret thing, so you can be controlling this at all times while you're waiting for these guys to spawn. You only have to wait like 10 seconds maybe before the action sets in, because like almost immediately the enemies start spawning. See, and you can pretty much see almost the whole screen. Like, you can't see the whole screen, but you can almost see the whole screen while you're playing. I'm trying to find another screenshot that shows like more of it, but I guess you don't really have more of it. But you see like at least half the screen at all times. Here's another shot. So here's the enemy base, right? And here's all their monsters coming toward you. You can't see what's coming up from them, so you have no idea. So you can just react to their stuff. And obviously you're trying to get to their base and destroy it. Another thing is like when like there's not like there is like games like there's a like a play session time in this where you do spawn like a bunch of enemies or a bunch of units and then they do blow up the other base, and it's usually like I don't know 5 minutes 10 minutes maybe, like they're really short game lengths, and then you beat them and you get like some gold or something, I don't remember how it works, and then that's how you buy more units back in like the menu, right? And then when you're ready, you like unlocked whatever you unlock, whatever, get some power-ups, whatever, then you go back into the game again. Another nice thing is the mana booster thing. You can spend points, like 50 points, whatever, into the mana booster instead of putting 50 points into spawning more units, and that increases how fast you get more resources, or points, whatever. So then you can unlock more guys faster. So you have to be like managing this, managing this, managing this, right? You have like 3 different things to manage at the same time. And then it's so like tight and like so compact that it's so much it's just action so much faster. And this was like the idea, but I love the idea of like, oh, it's a big fantasy world though, and you like have 3 lanes to like manage, and then like there's kind of like a little bit of like exploration and stuff too. But I think my problem is that I love exploration in games and I love like building like worlds and like fantasy worlds and stuff, and like I think like that got in my way, and like I don't think that's a good idea for this game. The reason this game works is because it's so simple, right? There's nothing complex about it. Like you manage like 3 different things and that's it. The reason that this game works, well, I don't know yet, but like, I don't know. I don't think this is a problem either. Hey, what's up, Reese? What are we working on today? We're kind of just like analyzing this side project that I was working on, that I was planning on releasing, but I'm really tempted to scrap it because I'm like kind of breaking it down and like thinking about like the repercussions of it, and like really just kind of like how like the design and like whether or not it's actually worth continuing on, or if it's going to take like a huge refactor to get it to where I want it to be. So love Cartoon Wars. Yeah. So yeah, like that's, and I haven't really seen anything like that recently. I know there's a couple mobile games that kind of like scratch that itch, I think. But it's like hard to find them. It's not really popular anymore. And so like in this age of kind of like, you know, oh look, let's make a new Mean Girls movie that was just made like 20 years ago or whatever. Like it just feels like rehashing old ideas and like in new ways is not a bad idea. Oh, and there's the ad. If you guys don't want the ad, I guess I can't even promote subscribing during the ad. Anyway. Have you seen Genocide Rollers? Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah. I must say though, I love looking at the environment up close. The details are just too good. Yeah, see, and I like it too. I like the environment too. I mean, I didn't make the art, so like, is what it is. I don't know. Maybe there's a way we can like change this. Like, maybe we like scrap the lane-based thing. You know, like maybe the lane-based thing is like where we're going wrong. Maybe we focus this more on like, maybe we come at this more of like a MOBA. Like if we want to salvage this and try to make this into an actual like game, maybe we should like look at this more as like a MOBA, where you like, maybe you're like running around in this little world, harvesting resources, and then you go back and maybe you do build buildings and then they spawn units. You can like spawn units outside of the building or whatever. And then maybe the units like follow you. So like there's more action, you know, and you can like attack or whatever, or maybe you can attack. Maybe it's like an auto battler. And like, but the units like surround you or whatever, or follow you around, and then like, you just kind of lead them to where you want them to attack. And then like maybe the enemies spawn on the lanes. We can keep the lanes obviously for enemies. So you have to like lead your units to the enemies to attack, because that would feel a little more like hands-on, like you're actually leading the units there instead of just spawning them against up into the lanes. There's like 10 of them. Similar, is this like Battle Cats? It was one of the iPhone greats back in the day. Upgrading the mages was OP, and the arrow shooter in your tower. Yeah, for sure. No ad life for the win. Yeah, YouTube is lucky there. What is this project going to be? So it's a lane-based RTS game. I'll show you kind of the gist of it. So you have resources here in the top left corner. We'll go full screen so you can see. Oh, actually you can't see. Okay. You have resources in the top left corner here. These are your 3 lanes, and this will show all the units you can spawn in the lanes, which may be a little redundant, but we'll see. And then you have health here, and then the enemy health here. You can run around this little guy. There's a map down here which doesn't work right now, but it should show like the units. Like, so if you spawn a unit in the top left, here I'll show you. So let's build. We can build these different buildings here, and these things could be like locked or something if we wanted to like expand later. I don't know, whatever. Let's just build a garrison. So there we go. Let's upgrade it once. All right. So if we choose to upgrade it, we improve melee training, granting all units 10% bonus health and 10% bonus damage. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Construct. Boom. So we've upgraded it. Now it's a little cooler looking. And now we can spawn knights and footmen. So let's spawn a knight in the middle and a footman in the middle. So we spawn them on top of each other pretty much. And of course, one moves faster than the other one, which is like problematic because then it's like really hard to like get your units to fight together, which is why I'm thinking maybe we just do like you're rounding up units, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, and then ideally you could see down here like, oh, I have 2 little units here. They're moving across the map, across the battle map on the bottom. And then you'd see enemy units pop up too. And you'd be like, oh shoot, I need to spawn some guys on the top or I'm going to get attacked in a few minutes. And I think when the battle map starts working, if we get that working, that'll be a lot more beneficial because you'll know like you'll be able to react better to the enemy's things, right? So here comes an enemy unit right here. They're going to run into each other and fight, but it's very just slow paced, right? We can spawn more guys back on this lane again. The middle lane is really short, so it's like the most obvious to defend and attack from. But I'm pretty sure we're going to win like right now. But also keep in mind that like in the actual game, you probably wouldn't start with 90 for each resource because that's pretty overpowered. Yeah, so this guy's getting wrecked right now. And then we'd switch out this dumb castle for like this big cool thing that Ryuthmas made for us. And you can go harvest resources too. I can't get up there. Like here's some trees right here I can go harvest. Which doesn't have any like fancy effects yet, but like you can harvest them and I'm getting wood for them. So like, and you can also spawn harvesters who will come down here and do the harvesting for you and then they'll walk back. And if they run into an enemy, they just get killed. So. If your character was some sort of commander, strange reference, but if anyone has played Lego Star Wars 3, I haven't. You could play as clone commanders who could command troops by being near them. Yeah, so I thought about that too. We could have like one of the original ideas was there was like a hotbar at the bottom with like abilities you had. So you had like a basic attack with like a 2-second cooldown or something. You click that and your character would just like slash in front of them, right? So you could run up and like help them fight. And then you can have like a healing one that like heals them. And you can even do like a whole skill tree that like unlocks the abilities. So we could, and then, so one of the ideas was like a rally button. You could click that and all the troops around you up to like a certain number. And maybe you could like expand it later. So you could start with like 2 or whatever. And then like maybe later you could increase that to like 5 or whatever, or 10, whatever. And then once you like rally them, then they like follow you and then you can like lead them wherever you want. So if like you have a bunch of guys that you spawn in the mid and then like a whole like army like spawns on top, you could like rally them and bring them up to the top. Like, I think that there is potential for this to be a fun game. And like when we talk about those sorts of like future possibilities, like I think there's something there. The problem is I just don't know how much time it would take to get it to that point. Like if it's like a month, maybe it's worth it. You know, if we can spend like a month and this game is like really fun again, or like we can get it to that point where it's really fun, then like it's probably worth launching it for $5 or $10, you know? Oh, we won. So we won, we beat them. But like, and yeah, like we can do a lot of balancing where enemies are like spawning more often and then like they need to react to like you attacking. I think what we're gonna do for enemies is give them like a point system. If we decide to keep working on this. And so like every like second they'll earn like 1 point and it'll take like a certain amount of points to spawn a unit. And then what we'll do is we'll have like different strategies they can pick from based on certain things. So it'll be like almost like a behavior tree, I guess they'll probably have. And it'll be like, if I have enough things to do this, and the enemy is, or the player has spawned this guy, then we'll do this thing or whatever. Like, so we'll like build like a cool behavior tree or something. Maybe a state machine would do it, or a state tree would do it. And then they'll like spawn. It's single player right now. And that's another thing is like, I also think that if we just made this multiplayer, like one, multiplayer games by themselves are really hard without a single player, without any sort of single player aspect, really hard. But this game by itself, even like in its current state, could be really fun in multiplayer, because then you're like competing and there's like, you both have the same, I don't know, I just feel like it would feel much better multiplayer, but I don't know if I want to build it multiplayer because I haven't done any multiplayer up to this point. So seen so many different versions of that game. Have you? I actually haven't seen that many. I saw a bunch of versions when it was popular back like a long time ago, but I haven't seen anything like recently. But yeah, I wanted to just make like a spin on it because I didn't want to make the same game, you know, like I didn't want to just make Cartoon Wars, but like with dwarves, because like I think we could, and I think it would still work and probably sell. But I wanted to make something a little more substantial to like I see like mobile games as like quick and like dirty games sometimes, you know, like not that like I'm some mobile games are like 10 times more polished than Swords of Magic will ever be, right? Like I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying they're easy to make. I'm just saying like they're like bite-sized experiences. And I see Steam as like full size, so that's like a full meal, right? Whereas like mobile game, I guess, is like more just a snack. And so I guess if I'm gonna bring this to Steam, I want to make sure it's a full meal, not just a snack, because I don't think people would pay money for, you know, a snack on Steam. You could have points on the map that function as watch points, so commanding troops to stop at the watch points to build up an army and then release them in full swing. Yeah, so there's lots of ideas like that. I have a whole Trello board with like 30 or 50 different ideas that are like things like that. Like what, like at one point I was like, okay, if we're gonna make this work, what we need to do is make it so every time you play the game, there's like randomized like events at different points along the paths, right? So like there could be like an event here, like where there's like maybe like a bandit camp that's like built up here. So when you start the game, you want to like run around and explore like what all the events are that are going on, and you'd see like, okay, there's a bandit camp here, maybe there's a tower like over here or whatever. And like, so the first person to like take out the tower would get a tower, and then they could put units in the tower and like maybe like you were saying, like release them, you know, when you want. And maybe like the tower could also defend itself, so you'd have like ranged attacks or whatever if you put an archer in or something. I don't know. And then the bandit camp could be like, if you defeat the bandit camp, you get a whole bunch of resources. And maybe like you get like 2 bandit units or something that like you can then spawn wherever you want or something. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. We had an idea for like a dragon. Like you could be like, oh shoot, there's a dragon down here, you know, that's like causing problems, whatever. And maybe like when the game starts, there's like the shadow of a dragon like flying back and forth, and any units that go in like into that like vicinity of the shadow like will just get roasted, you know, they'll just get lit up. And so you have to wait for the dragon to land, and once it's landed, then it's like, oh, we got to attack the dragon. And then maybe the person who like the team that like destroys or beats the dragon gets like a huge like, you know, power up, like all their units are like fortified or they can walk faster and things like that. And I think that kind of stuff would be cool because it feels like how MOBAs do like the mini bosses on the map. I can't think what they're called now. I haven't played League in a long time. What's up, Phil? So yeah, so things like that are like ideas I've had, and I honestly think that if I had the time to implement all the ideas I have to like do these sorts of things, I do think the game would be fun. Like I think we could turn this into like a really fun like strategy game that has a lot of cool stuff in it. The problem is that anytime I have a game idea where making it fun requires adding a bunch of random cool stuff, that's feature creep, and it's going to become a major problem, right? It's not just like, this is not going to be like a quick, like, let's just spend another month adding the cool stuff and then we'll go from there. Like, it's not going to be like that, you know? So as much as I want to like pretend like that's what it's going to turn into, it won't. It's going to turn into like a year-long project where I'm just adding all this junk, and like we're going to be bouncing back and forth between like trying to get it out and trying to like add more stuff. I don't know. It's gonna be a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I do feel like I love the map, and I do think there's like something here. I just don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to like try the rallying thing. Like not necessarily like a rally button that lets you like grab troops from the lane. Maybe we could, I guess. Maybe that would work better. I don't know. But I kind of like the idea that like the troops maybe instead of like spawning them on the lane, they just like spawn in here or something, maybe like every so often. Like maybe each building has like the garrison can have spawn up to like 3 or something, right? So it'll like every like minute or something, or 10 seconds or whatever, we'll just like spawn one of them up to its cap, and then you can upgrade the building to upgrade the cap and upgrade their units and everything on it. So you could just have like a bunch of units sitting here, and then you could go get them, or maybe that's when you can spawn them on the lane. I don't know. I don't know how you'd spawn them on the lane at that point though. I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential in it. It's just, I guess I see potential, but it's even with like the best ideas, even when I like really overscope it and like scope creep the whole thing out to like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this and you could do this, and like it'd be so much fun to have this thing going on and you could do this thing, and then there's like a dragon that attacks. Like even if I with all of that, I still feel like it's still a risky game to make, because one, all of that stuff is going to take a long time to implement, 6 months at least. And that's like me guessing, which means it'll probably double that, because it's always double the time you think it's going to take. And two, because it's a strategy game and I don't make strategy games and I don't play strategy games, so it scares me thinking like, I'll just make this cool strategy game, not having a clue if it's actually going to be fun, and if people who actually play strategy games are going to enjoy this or not, right? And like with randomized events too, there's not a whole lot of strategy you can build up, like I guess when you start the game, you're like, okay, I got to build my strategy around these events on the map, and I guess that's kind of fun, but I don't know. What's up, Pixel Shake? What are you talking through? So I have this game called Dwarvenhold I've been working on and off. Or I really only put like 10 to like 15 full days of development in it. I'm talking like 4 to like 6 hour days. And this is like kind of where we're at now. Like you can build a thing and then spawn units like on these lanes, and they follow these paths to the enemies, and then they attack. And you can upgrade the buildings and build different buildings and unlock new units. You can do harvesters, like we do like a harvest market. Now I can spawn like a lumberjack in the center here, and we'll do a farmer in the center too. And then we'll build like a marksman hall. And we'll spawn a marksman in the center. So you can just like spawn units, and they like follow the lanes and go do their thing. And then you can run around and harvest them too, and they like fight enemies. And the enemies, like the enemy like base spawns the exact same way pretty much, except they just kind of do it randomly right now. So you can just like, yeah, and then they'll fight each other in the middle. Like there's like a little auto battle kind of thing where they like stop and fight each other. They have health bars and everything. So I was working on this, and I was just like, I want to make like a quick game that'll take like 2 or 3 months. My goal was like to make like $10,000 on it, which I know sounds like probably a big amount of money, but it's not actually that much amount of money if you're actually marketing your game and everything. So here's the harvesters going on doing their thing. So that guy's gonna go chop down a tree. The like radius there isn't great, but it's not polished at all. It's all just kind of thrown together right now, like a MOBA where you're just babysitting Nexus. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much exactly that. And then like I was thinking like it'd be cool if you had like abilities and stuff. There's a lot of like feature creep ideas I had that could like make this more interesting. So where I'm at now is you're basically just like in control of spawning the creeps, and that's exactly where the idea came from. But where I'm at now is like I had another idea. So I don't know if you've heard of Swords and Magic and stuff, which is my primary game. I assume you have. Pretty sure you have. But I forget who has and hasn't played it. Anyway, and how long people have been here sometimes. Or the random events you mentioned. Things like a dragon attacking one lane and then like landing and you can fight it and get a buff similar to League. And then like bandit camps showing up on the lanes, you have to like defeat them and then you get resources, or like big resource areas, towers that you can take over, abandoned towers and stuff like that. Monsters spawning, things like that. Haven't actually, it's my first time. Okay, cool. Like I think you've been in here before, but it's probably been a long time. Because you didn't, well, I didn't get like the new for the first time chatter anyway, like I did just now with Polaris. Wrecker Squarity, thank you so much for the raid. I was trying to figure out how to read your name. I'm going with Wrecker. Welcome in, thanks for the raid. What were you working on? How was your stream? Hi Solaris, welcome in. Anyway, but I make a game called Swords and Magic and stuff. It's a casual cooperative open world RPG. It's a pretty massive, ambitious game. It's out in early access and it's still in active development. I've been working on this kind of on the side. We actually have an update coming out next week, hopefully, for it, if I can fix this bug I have right now. And that's how I pay my bills. But it's not making as much money anymore, which is why I was making a side project to try to make some more money and like just to have more projects under my belt and like just do more stuff. Because I've been making Swords Magic for 6 years, and that's the only game I've ever released. So I'm like getting the itch to like just make something new. So I'm not just the Swords and Magic guy. So I just wanted to do this because I thought it'd be fun and easy and quick, and I was like, let's do it. And so I kind of just prototyped it out, and I thought I'd just launch it in like 3 months. But I just had this new idea because I've been playing a lot of survival like base building games, and I saw like Pal World like just like explode. Not that I'm trying to like capitalize on like, oh, I want to make the Pal World money. Nice, but so the idea is basically make a spin-off game from Swords and Magic that's set in the same universe, reusing a lot of the same assets because Pal World just did that with their game, and make it a survival based building game with some automation features. So yeah, I don't know, I've just been thinking about it, and I just feel like it's way more in line with my audience, with my brand, with my art, or my like dev style, like the types of games I like to make and the types of games I like to play. And I feel like it's less of a risk, even though it's probably gonna be a longer development time. And so I've just been considering like scrapping this project and moving on to something new. But I also know that like one of my, toxic traits is that I'm very bad at finishing projects. And so like I'm really good at starting and not finishing projects, which I think everyone is. Like it's a very, very much just like a game dev thing. So I don't think that's like a me thing necessarily. Need lots more wood if I want to make those guys. Anyway, like see how slow this game is. Like I've just been sitting here talking, not paying attention at all, and I'm winning. I'm like 80% done, like to beating the game, or 80% of the way to, like done with the game, and I don't even know what I've been doing. I think it's just like the two guys. It's just one archer. Just one archer over here just like beating the game. So yeah, the balance is way off, but that's easily fixed. Anyway, we're doing Clash of Codes on the site, Coden game. That's cool. I've never heard of that. I'll check it out. So from initial concept, this sounds like a game where you should focus on minimizing scope mechanics and make it almost like a cookie clicker, idle clicker. Yeah, and I'm down for going like that too, because that was actually like incremental progress was something that I talked about early on in the game. He's also developing a project called Squarity. Squarity. Why does this sound so familiar? Hence the name. Squarity is a game engine in your browser. You code in Python to create your little game. Oh, that's awesome. You can feel free to share a link if you want in chat. I'm very good at finishing, but bad at starting, so I haven't started anything. So you don't know if you're good at finishing yet. Yeah, I have. Here, let me just show you how bad my problem is. And some of these don't count because I also sell assets on the Unreal Marketplace, and every time you sell an asset pack, you have to have a fresh project for it, which is really dumb, but it's how they do it in Unreal Engine. So yeah, it's a little bit swayed, but these are all my projects, which like doesn't look like a whole lot, but like, it's like 40 projects. But like this one isn't a game. this one's not a game, this one's not, 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 this one's not. Those ones aren't games. This one's not. This one's not. So like I have a lot of games in here that are not games. And some of these like actually were finished. Like this one's a jam game I finished. These are just animation packs again. I have 2 of these for some reason. I don't remember why. They're different versions. And then I have some of these that are like, this was for like another thing I did for like a course I did for Gamedev TV. But yeah, I have a lot of projects. Like a while back, I was like, I'm starting a new game called City Story, and I had this whole thing, and I like put it up on source control and everything, and streamed it for like a week, and then I like got bored of working on it, and I haven't touched it since. So like, yeah. And then I had this other game called Gloomwalker that I was working on, and I was like, this is gonna be the one I do, and I gave up on that one like pretty quick. And a lot of the times, like, in all fairness, like I do kind of like go into a lot of projects thinking like, okay, I'm just feeling it out. I'm just prototyping to see like if this is something I want to work on, if it's something that's going to be fun, or something that like is worth the effort to put into. And oftentimes after like a day or 2 working on it, I'm just like, not really feeling it. Maybe this isn't like what we want to do. So yeah, there's that. But anyway, yeah. So I do have a lot. And honestly, to be honest with you, there's probably like 30 or 40 more projects that are not even in here that are just like on older versions that I don't have anymore, or like that I like because I've switched computers and stuff, so I know I have older projects too. Not to mention all the projects I had before I started working in Unreal Engine. I'm sure I have another 50 just in like Stencil and like RPG Maker and all the other engines I used. The site in the documentation is in French, sorry. Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. You can still share it. Checking it out over here on this side. I don't always trust people right off the bat. Well, this looks cool. All right, we'll show it. It does kind of suck it's in French because I have no idea what any of this says, but it looks cool. The art's cute. I like it. That's fun. I guess we can close these too. We're not looking anymore. Anyway, I'm a mobile web developer, and I have 5 projects which never made it to the public, and these were apps with 100+ React Native components, etc. I don't know why I don't finish them. Yeah, so finishing a project is really, really, really hard. That's definitely the hardest thing I've ever had to overcome with game dev. And that's all I've really done is game dev and like graphic design back in the day and game art. So I don't know, but yeah, and there's like a lot of like emotional and like mental stuff that goes into it. For me, part of it was like the fear of failure. Like I would always get to a state in a project where it was like, okay, this is getting kind of real, and like I can see like where the finish line is supposed to be for this. And at that point, I would start getting like nervous, you know. I start thinking like, well, I can't actually finish this game because like it's getting way too hard to finish, and like I'm not like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know. I can't finish this game, so I get a lot of imposter syndrome. And then it's just like the fear of failure, like knowing like, well, what if I release this and everyone hates it, or what if like I can't finish it, or what if I like start telling people about it and then I run into a bug that I can't fix, and so I just can't finish the game, and so then I have to like disappoint people, and like everyone's gonna, you know, hate me, and I'll like it'll ruin my career and all this stuff, and like that kind of fear can stop you from doing anything, I think. And that was one of the things I had to overcome. And the way I overcame that is because I actually finally went back to school and went to college and actually graduated. I tried 3 times to go to college and failed all 3 times, and then finally tried again at a different school and graduated. And the whole time along, I kept telling myself I was going to drop out every month, and I didn't. I just kept going until I graduated. And I got like, how much storage you? Yeah. Anyway, and then for some reason when I graduated college, and I was like, oh my God, I graduated college and I was valedictorian in my class. And I was like, whoa, I can actually like finish something. Like I didn't fail at that. And then that's like right after that I started Swords and Magic, and somehow I brought that. It took me 3 years to get it to actually get it out in early access, and now it's been out in early access for 3 years. And somehow I was able to like actually finish something to the point where I could sell it anyway. And let me tell you, I had a lot of imposter syndrome going into that. but I kind of did it in like bite-sized pieces too, because I started with Twitch streaming, and somehow I grew from like 1 viewer every day up to like 35 viewers, which was pretty big for me at the time, and apparently is pretty big for me now. And then I did a Kickstarter, and we started doing YouTube videos, and then like the YouTube videos started blowing up, and I started getting a lot more viewers, and I went up to like 50, 60 viewers every day on Twitch, and I was like, oh my god, okay, so maybe I'm not an imposter, like I'm actually doing this, and like I should be here or whatever, and I deserve this or whatever. And then Kickstarter did really well, and we made $80,000 when we asked for 20, which was like, I don't know, 5% of what we actually needed to make the game the scale that we wanted to. That was a dumb idea, but yeah. And then so like it was just like all those little tiny things that kept building up that made me feel like, okay, I can actually finish this game because all these other things are succeeding. And then finally we just like released the game. Not in a great state, but we fixed it really fast. And then now, like with all the updates we've had now, there's like hundreds of hours worth of content, and like the game has a 92%, I think, positive rating on Steam, which is really good for an indie game, at least, you know, whatever. It's just not very well known yet because we need to do more marketing for it to get it out there more. So I just think that if you're going to have random events, you minimize strategy. Yes, agreed. You want a quick project, so you don't want to spend months and months just balancing. So yeah, something that you just click around and almost have the game where it's not about winning, but rather surviving / putting out fires. Yeah, I think you might be right. And one of the problems we're going to run into with that is that I hate games where you're constantly just putting out fires. Like in almost every like strategy or like survival or any game like that, where it gets to the point where it's like you're no longer thriving, and it's just like, so like you're just surviving or barely surviving, and you're just putting out those fires. That's usually when I start hating those games and I don't want to play them anymore. And so that is that's going to be a huge point of contention for me, because I don't like games like that. So I don't know if that's the way I have to go to make this game work. I don't think I should do this project. Like, I don't think I should keep working on it. I think I should just cut my losses and say, well, that was a fun little 10-day project. Maybe I'll put it up on itch or something and just be like, here you go, for people who want to play it for free. I don't know. That said, I'm very biased, as I love getting the most out of minimal mechanics. I like the depth and spread of a single thing more than, well, just more things. Yeah, so Swords and Magic and stuff was definitely not your cup of tea, because we do the exact opposite there, where every mechanic is very simple and it's pretty shallow, but there's so many mechanics and there's so many different things to do that you can enjoy bouncing around between all kinds of different stuff. There's player housing, there's cooking, there's crafting, there's farming, there's tailoring, you can go adventuring, there's like quests, there's all kinds of stuff. At one point there was supposed to be horse racing, but we never got that in, so that's like kind of been scrapped now. But there's just so much stuff to do. And here soon there's gonna be, oh, you can't even hear me because we're on an ad now. $30 seconds for the ad. Hi, welcome back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I absolutely hate ads on Twitch, but like I turned them all off. Like I was like, I'm opting out of all the ads and stuff. And then someone came in, they're like, why am I getting ads on here? And I was like, what do you mean you're getting ads? And then I found out that you still get ads on Twitch even if you turn them off. Like I knew you still get pre-roll ads, but I thought pre-roll ads would be better because like people are expecting it. You come into the stream, you're not in the middle of a conversation when you suddenly get interrupted by an ad, right? And so who cares? But yeah, then I found out that it didn't matter. You still get interrupted by ads. I just don't know about it then if I opt out, and I don't make as much money. And to be honest, I've made like $6 in ads in like the last 3 months. So I don't make money anyway. It's just so stupid. I really wish the Twitch would just allow us to opt out of ads and not make any money. But it, you know, they got to make their $3. Like they get 45% of the ads, or ad revenue, which means they made like $4 off of me, $4 or $5 off of me. I guess, yeah, $5 in the last 3 months. Yet I cannot opt out of those ads because, you know, they got to have that $4. Anyway, Guessing Swords Magic is one of those cozy do everything games. Yes, very much casual cooperative open world RPG. So it's like a sandbox game. I'm trying to break into the industry for the first time. Finishing games is definitely tough. My entire portfolio is 1 to 3 month unfinished projects. Yeah, I hate to say it, but like the best way to do it is just to start a small project and actually finish it. Even if you're just like looking at it as like, this is just for fun. I don't care if it's gonna be good, but then put it on Steam, because launching a game on Steam is like a huge amount of effort and it's like it's a whole nother skill than just making a game. So that's kind of important to be able to do that. So I highly suggest doing that, like working that into your like prototyping or like your like game jam phase, I guess, whatever, like actually launching the game. Because sometimes just making a game and saying, well, that was fun, I made a game, and I learned how to make a game. You didn't learn how to release a game, and that's like a big part of it, you know. 90% of streamers have less than 8 viewers. That's crazy. It isn't something like 90% of Twitch streamers have less than 100 viewers. Sort of like you probably think of it as it adds up. You're right. You're 100% correct. It's just a shame. So yeah, anyway, yeah, so Pixel, you said that I might fix those issues. So that's actually a really good way to look at it, to be honest. I made a horror game. I don't play horror games. I like horror movies, but horror games, like, I don't like being in control, and it's like too much, and I get way too stressed out, and I can't do it. So I don't play horror games. I have played horror games, but not like finished any horror games. And so I made one for Halloween like 4 years ago, I think now, and it got played by Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, because I captured like the essence of like a horror movie, I think, in the game, and it kind of like it got picked up by like big streamers and big YouTubers at the time, I guess. And it got a lot of attention. I put it up for sale as like pay what you want on Twitch, and I made like $20 on it. And it got played by like thousands and thousands of people. Thousands and thousands of people. I made $20. And they were like hundreds of YouTube videos on it. Like every comment on that page is just like someone posting their YouTube video being like, check out my let's play of this. It didn't help that it was a 10-minute game, and like once someone saw it played, they didn't need to play it themselves unless they wanted to make a video. So it really only appealed to YouTubers who were like looking for reactions from viewers, which made sense. But yeah, it sucked that it was a free game pretty much because it didn't make any money. But anyway, but yeah, I didn't play horror games, and so I was kind of just winging it. And I did do a couple things that I think I did really bad because I don't play horror games that I could have done better, like controlling things was really bad, which is like the whole game. But like to carry something, you had to click and hold the mouse like you were holding it. And because like my thought was like, this is really immersive. I'm carrying a candle, and there's only light source you had as a candle, and you had to carry it around. And if like something scares me and I like freak out and let go of the mouse, I have to look down and grab that candle again so I can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, you know, I dropped it, right? And so I thought that was really cool. Not that great. And then there were like books. You had to hold it with your left mouse and then right click to actually like open and like use the book. And people could not figure that out. Like I had a tutorial and everything, but still. And then the worst was that there were also keys, and you had to pick up and carry a key. So you had to drop the candle, pick up the key, and then walk back through the dark to the door. And then there was always a light on the door so you could see what you're doing. And then you'd open the door and then have to come back and get your candle. And it like freaked people out, which is a good thing. But it was just a dumb mechanic. Like you got two hands probably. Like unless I wrote into the story that the person only had one hand, that might have made more sense. But even then, I'm pretty sure you can hold a candle and a key at the same time, one hand. So it just felt kind of bad. So that was like me only having 10 days and not having played horror games and like not realizing like how much better I could have made that. So there's definitely a drawback of like making a game in a genre that you don't play. because you're probably going to do things wrong that has already been solved a lot. You know, they've already been solved a long time ago. And yeah. Anyway, I have a very important meeting to get to here soon. Your heart can't take it. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same realm. Can you watch movies though? Because I can watch horror movies. Oh my god, I've not been paying attention to YouTube chat. I'm so sorry. Function watch points so community troops. Yeah, right over that one. Okay. Don't you make a MOBA with Pokemon? You catch them as you go and they slave for you. Phil, that's not a bad idea. It seems like I bet that would take off. What do you recommend to start game dev in general? Nelson, I highly recommend. I actually literally just recorded like a talking head video about this, and I'm too like nervous to like post it, so I probably won't. But let me give you the Reader's Digest version before I take off. What I recommend is keep like when you're making your first game, one, don't go in with really vague with a vague idea. Like go in thinking I want to make an RPG, or go in thinking I want to make I don't know, just like get a very vague idea. Like I want to make a platformer, I want to make a puzzle game, whatever. But don't go in thinking I want to make a puzzle game where you control gravity and you can do this thing and do that thing and you know do that and this is how the storyline's going to go. Like keep it very vague, so you just have like one very basic thing you're trying to do, and then give yourself small tasks that you can complete within like a couple of hours ideally. So if you're like I'm gonna make a platformer, and the first thing I want to do is to get a character moving around, right? So that's like a task you can probably do in a couple hours with like one YouTube tutorial. And then once you learn a little bit from that, then think about how you can like expand on that. Like, okay, I learned if I press like the left and right buttons, I can move. So now what happens if I like press the space bar? Can I make that like make my character jump or whatever? Like add on to it and give yourself like little challenges and basically try to make the entire process like a step-by-step thing where you're just kind of like experimenting and having fun with it, like you're exploring a new game. Because I think if you go into game dev like with like 100 hours of tutorials lined up and like this really complex idea to do, you're going to be really overwhelmed, and it's just going to look like you're climbing Mount Everest, right, without any gear, because you've never done this before and you didn't know what kind of gear to bring. But if you take this like one step at a time, where you're like, whoa, look at that little rock in front of me, it'll be fun to climb on that rock. And you climb onto that rock, and then you see another rock and you're like, oh, that one would be fun to climb on too. And you climb onto that one. Pretty soon you're at the top of a mountain, right? And you've learned how to climb a mountain. And you might not even realize it. That's how I made Swords and Magic, and it's the only game I've ever actually like released. And so I highly recommend going into it like it's a game you're playing, right? Try to have fun every step of the way. And if it ever starts getting really frustrating, or if you find yourself like going down a rabbit hole on like how to build a certain like feature or a mechanic or whatever, and it's like complicated and you're not really understanding it, scrap it, change it, or duct tape it, right? Do whatever you have to with the knowledge you already have to make that mechanic or a similar mechanic or an alternative work, because it like keep moving, right? The second you like stop and start spinning your wheels, you might get stuck there and you might give up entirely. So those are like, that's like my big overall arcing like general advice about game dev, is just like always keep it fun, because you're always looking for that next dopamine hit. And if you're not getting the dopamine, you're going to find it somewhere else. You're just going to go back to TikTok or YouTube or, you know, a video game or something. So keep the dopamine coming in by just like making bite-sized like successes. Gut feeling, bro. If your instincts tell you something, listen. Always. Yeah. It isn't just a game dev thing. That's just life. Or a game, just make a giant spider chasing you. Or what really seems to work right now is a giant train with spider legs that chases you. If you guys have seen what's it called, Choo Choo Charles, that game seems to be doing really well. What are the bottle of waters used for? The bottles of water. What do you mean the bottles of water? In Swords of Magic? The jars of water? You can use them for, if you're talking about Swords of Magic, they can be used for cooking. I think cooking is the primary one right now. And they might be used, I think they're also used in alchemy when you get into farmlands. Yeah, I can watch horror movies. Yeah, see, it's different. Like horror movies versus horror games, totally different. My more practical advice for a first game is pick an old game, talking Atari Arcade, and fix one of the problems we know can be done better, and finish it, often just a 1 to 2 week project. Yeah, I actually was doing that with Gauntlet a while back. I was like, I'm gonna remake Gauntlet in like my own like style and like make it multiplayer. Well, Dauntless multiplayer, but yeah, like change things about whatever. Anyway, and then I didn't do that for some reason. I didn't end up doing it, but anyway, guys, we're gonna go raid somebody. I don't know who. Maybe so it's so weird. I don't know what happened to my channel. I don't know why like I lost all my viewers suddenly, because like I like my viewers been cut in half. Again, not really complaining or like whining about it, or not trying to whine about it. It's just that whenever I go to raid someone, I always pick someone with less viewers than me, because I feel like that makes the most sense, rather than like, you know, helping out someone who doesn't need the help as much as other people do. But I can't ever find anyone with less viewers than me anymore. So sad me, poor me. Let's go. We're gonna browse Unreal Engine. Oh, that's not. I look for Unreal Engine. How do you? I don't remember how to do this. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. We'll go here. Never mind. I know what we're doing. We'll go raid. Data structures. That doesn't seem exciting. Here, this guy's making Pal World. Let's go raid the guy who's making Pal World. You don't tell him. I saw Magrion streaming. Should I raid Magrion? I know like he's just not playing. He's not making games. You guys want to raid the guy who's making Pal World? I'm assuming he's making a new Pal World, or do you want to raid someone who's playing Enshrouded? Spoiler alert: the meeting I'm going to is Enshrouded. I'm leaving in a few minutes to go Pal World. Yeah, that's what I thought. See, like that's yeah. We love Magrion, but you kind of have to know your audience. All right, we're gonna go raid Crazy Mike. No one break his heart and tell him Power World's already out. Okay, just like let him live his dream. No, I'm actually curious like what he's come up with so far, because it's kind of fun. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. Sorry, I got whiny about the viewers. I really don't care how many viewers I have. I just stream because I enjoy doing it. Like I like spitballing ideas back and forth. So like, yeah, I'm not here for the viewers anymore. Anyway, let's go raid Gauntlet. Oh really? How'd that end up? Not great. Didn't get very far in it. I don't think I even started that. It was just an idea. Anyway, stream ending. You guys have a good one. I will catch you on Tuesday, I think. And then here soon, next month, I'm gonna be streaming every single day of February to do a February art challenge, where I'm gonna do some 3D modeling for like fantasy related things for Arcane Toy Box, which I will be selling all the assets I model in packs. Sorry about the sirens. I'll be selling all the models I make then in packs on the marketplace, so feel free to come in, stop by, check it out, give me ideas for things that you might want to see or pick up. So yeah, February's gonna be fun. It'll probably be late night streams, so we'll see what happens. But all right, see you guys. Bye.